Welcome to the Awkward Daydream. We're united, we stand.
Divided, we fall.
So, Captain America: Civil War has come out to a lot of praise. So, I personally, I liked it. It's not the perfection a lot of people are making it out to be, though. What do you say about that?
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, there's a lot of people who saw it before me. They're like, "Oh man, it's so great! It's like really good." And then I guess it kind of raised my expectations a little bit higher, but it kind of met my expectations, but didn't really like exceed them.
Right, and that's why, like, going into it, I had high expectations. I loved the Russo brothers with Winter Soldier, because that one I went in thinking nothing of it. Like, oh, another Captain America movie. I didn't really care for Captain in Avengers. His first movie was okay. And this Winter Soldier just blew me away. I was like, this is fantastic. And for me, that's my number one Marvel movie, shortly followed by Guardians of the Galaxy. But this one, I went in there thinking, okay, I'm sure it's going to be great movie because it's the Russo brothers again, and yeah, it was a great movie, and for me, it hit those expectations. It didn't there was nothing earth shattering about it for me though. Mm-hmm. So for me though, I'd rank it like number 3 on my list of Marvel movies, right under Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's number 3 for me too, and 1 and 2 is flip flop for me. I like Guardians. Well,
I think they can be interchangeable depending on your mood. If you're in a really silly mood, it's like, let's go with some Guardians. That's my number 1 right now. But if you're more like awesome mood, like action oriented, really great story, then you would put Winter Soldier up there.
Like Guardians kind of has problems, but Winter Soldier is like good from like beginning to end.
Yeah, like you'd really have to nitpick it in order for it to be, an issue. One thing I'd have to say about Civil War that I have an issue with, that I guess Winter Soldier doesn't so much have that same issue, is the villain. Like, the villain in this movie, there is a villain. It's not just Iron Man versus Cap. There is a definitive villain, and it might be who you think it is. It might not be. But I don't know. That's the curse of Marvel movies. Their villains are very just kind of like, here's the villain, and there he goes. Like, he may show back up, he may not, but you don't really care about him. And that's one thing I think Winter Soldier did well, because the Winter Soldier is kind of the villain in that and Alexander Pierce, Robert Redford. But I mean, mainly it's the Winter Soldier, and
mm-hmm.
You actually cared about what's going on with him, and he's still around. While this one's just like, all right, here's the villain, it's done. So that's the curse of the Marvel movies.
But with Civil War, I was kind of surprised. Well, not surprised, but I was kind of expecting it to go one way, but then it did kind of take a slight turn, and then it ended up being different for me, which is a good
you mean
thing.
by the end, with certain motivations?
Yeah.
I figured that out. No spoilers. This is no spoiler, so I'm not going to say, but there was a scene where they kept repeating that scene. Like, in the middle of the movie, they showed it again, and I was like, I think I know what's going to happen. And I leaned over to my wife. I was like, this is what it is. And she's like, oh, shit. And then it happened. I was like, damn, that's it. All I'll say is, by the end of it, it did get a little darker, I feel, than most Marvel movies do. Like, with one scene in particular. And I was a little shocked by that, because everyone's like, oh, Marvel's not that dark, and they have their dark moments, but that one, I was like, that's kind of dark. That's kind of effed up.
What did you think of the action in this one?
Oh, the action was great. I mean, we've all seen the trailer, the airport scene, which I have one small issue with that, and it's not during the action. There was, we all know Spidey is in this. Like, by now, that's not a spoiler. But when Spidey first shows up, they kind of talk for a minute, and there's just something about how the scene looks it looks a little too fake. I don't know if it's the frame rate, if it was CG, if they did it on a green screen for that scene, or if they were on location. There was something really off about that scene that did take me back out of the movie and make me go, what is going on with this right here? And then they jump into the action, and then like everything looked fine after that. But it was just that one scene that there was just something off. I don't know. That was me personally. I talked to you about it right after the movie, and you're like, I didn't really notice anything. So maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I think there was just the problem with our projection.
Yeah, no, and I will be doing a second viewing. I've been hearing that second viewing is better than a first viewing, and I did like the movie enough. I will see it a second time in theaters probably. I have a coupon. So, and clearly, I'm Team Cap. And during the marketing, everyone's like, are you Team Cap or Iron Man? You kind of flip-flop in this movie, I feel. Like, you understand both of their views, and stuff that happens makes you kind of, like, toe the line, like, well, which team would I actually be on at this point? You know, there's no clear line. At a point, there's no clear line. Also, they do Scarlet Witch some justice. They really show how strong she is a couple times. Like, I think in the airport scene, like, she saves all of them at least once from something. Like, everyone. She is the go-to character for saving someone's ass. Ant-Man was hilarious in this.
Yeah, he was.
He was exactly what we all anticipated from him, humor-wise. A couple of neat tricks that he had that weren't in some of the others. And then, of course, Spidey. Spidey was good. You did have an issue, though.
I did have an issue, just the way he's introduced to us and how he just fits into everything. But
it's almost left field.
Yeah.
Even though we all were expecting Spidey, like, if we had gone into it not expecting it, it would seem a little more out there, like, okay, that's...
I mean, I understand why they did what they did. They couldn't just have him just, like, show up, you know, but...
Yeah. And from what I understand with the behind-the-scenes stuff, because when they started getting this movie going, they were still trying to negotiate a deal. So I think they had a version with him and without him, in case the deal fell through. So that's what I've heard. Of course, that's internet. Take it with a bit of salt. What's up with that Black Panther, though?
Black Panther was fucking awesome.
We needed more of him.
Yeah, and he was introduced. You know, he was introduced to as well. Like, he wasn't just like, he was thrown in there, but it was, you know, they did.
It was done well with the story where it wasn't like, who the F is this guy?
Right.
Like, you knew fairly early on, okay, this guy, there's something going on with him, and then he shows up as the Panther and then takes off his mask, and you're like, well, I'm not surprised by it, but he's still a Bamf.
But for the uneducated like me, there's still kind of like a mystery about him. Like, that's probably not going to explain until his solo movie, I'd imagine. But yeah, I'm just like wondering. It's like, okay, how's he so super? You know, like, what makes him that way? You know,
yeah. They all they said about it in this movie was it's something that's passed down and it has to be earned. It's not just given. You're just kind of left there like, well, what is it? Is it a super serum? What could it be? Which, you know, I'm not going to go into it, you know.
I'm sure you know, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I read the comics. So he is getting his own solo outing, so we will see what's going on with that, which I am extremely excited for, just because they did him so well in this. Everyone I've talked to always says the three things they loved about this was Spidey, Ant-Man, Panther. Those are the big three that everybody loved. Even though it was a Captain America movie. But no, they were freaking awesome. I'm looking forward to the new Ant-Man movie, the new Spidey movie, and Black Panther movie. Those are probably the next three I'm looking most forward to. And of course, you know, Avengers. Although, Russo brothers are directing Avengers, so if they keep up, if they're 3 for 3, then Avengers should be awesome. I hope.
Well, let's hope so. It's because that's what it's all building up to, right?
Yeah, it's all building up to Infinity War. So, It'll be interesting to see where they go from this point, where they left off in Civil War. And of course, there's stuff after the credits. If you haven't seen the movie, make sure you stay during the credits. It should just not be said at this point because it is a Marvel movie. But when we were in our showing, people were getting up and leaving. We're just like, cool, you're gonna miss stuff. And there's 2 scenes in the credits, one during credits, one after. So make sure you stay for both. So, but yeah, Civil War, really, really solid movie. Definitely go see it. Our rankings, 3 and 3. That's on our list. This is what Avengers Age of Ultron should have been. That's one other thing I wanted to say. If Age of Ultron was anything like this, it would have been a better movie. Well, this has been an awkward daydream where Team Cap.